And then we go for the second next presentation, and we are happy to welcome Dr. Tania from the World Coffee Research, who will present the Innovea Global Coffee Breeding Network.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I need that. Thanks. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be here at ASIC and meet so many of you here that I've only met online or corresponded by email. So it's great to be here, and I'm happy for this opportunity to tell you about Innovea. But first, if you don't know who we are, World Coffee, oops, this is advancing by itself. Okay. All right, World Coffee Research is an industry association with member companies made up of some of the world's biggest and smallest coffee companies from around the world who collectively invest directly in the research that we do. So our research strategy has become a lot more focused in recent years to be really focused on putting the best varieties into farmers' hands around the world. And we do this through these 4 integrated program areas, which are all working together to ensure the continued success of many diverse origins of supply. But today I'm not going to talk about the rest of the program. We're going to focus on Innovea, the global Arabica breeding network that we just launched in 2022. So this is a collaborative global breeding network consisting of 9 country partners who work together collaboratively with us to develop improved Arabica breeding populations. There's 3 key elements of this network that I wanted to highlight today. The first is the focus on high-performing commercial varieties, the overall population improvement strategy that the network is operating under. And the third is the multi-environment testing, which when you operate on a global scale, you have the opportunity to evaluate material across many different environments, which as we contemplate the long timelines on a breeding program and the changing environment due to climate change, this is an important aspect that allows us to breed for the varieties for the climates of the future. So when we talk about population improvement, what we really mean here is the upstream part of the breeding pipeline. So this schematic flow chart shows you the general breeding pipeline with the population improvement part of it is above the line. And so this is the work that Innovea is really focused on. So this is where we work collaboratively with our partners under Innovea to collectively breed a diverse segregating population of Arabica genetics that provides a really valuable resource to national coffee programs in many countries. And then the next part of the pipeline is the product development or the variety development piece, which is taking that population, doing the selections for the breeding, propagation, moving material out to field trials, and ultimately resulting in the release of finished varieties. And that's the part that is in the hands of the national breeding programs. So we support it where we can through technical support and investments in capacity building, but ultimately the decision-making is theirs. So when we design any breeding program, obviously we want to focus on selecting the right starting material. So for us, it means really what are the things that matter most to the most people in the coffee value chain. Of course, first and foremost is yield and productivity improvements, largely focus on production traits. We have disease resistance, so coffee leaf rust, coffee berry disease. And then of course, we think about demand-led breeding. We think a lot about cup quality, which is really important for Arabica. So our focus is on high-performing commercial lines. So that means both as in the starting material and the final end product, we're always targeting elite high agronomic performance material. And we've been able to select this material from our large global data set that has come out of the IMLBT, the large international multi-location variety trial that has been running for about 6 or 7 years now, which took 31 of the top performing global varieties and put them out in 29 different sites, 18 different countries around the world. So we have performance data from 6 or 7 years of evaluating that material. And from that, we've been able to select a diverse combination of genetic backgrounds, high performing material, and parental lines that have never been brought together before. So material from many places such as Kenya, Brazil, India, El Salvador, material that's never been brought together before. And those of you who work in the genetic space know how difficult it is to move between countries. So that in itself is quite an accomplishment. So when we look at take a deeper dive into that genetic diversity, this chart on the left, principal component analysis, essentially shows the whole spectrum of diversity in Arabica. So there's something like 1,500 accessions here represented by all of these gray dots. And so you can see that dense cluster on the left represents the wild Ethiopian material, the land races. We have Bourbons and Typicas, and then that diffuse cloud in the middle of introgress material. So if you look closely there, I'm not sure how well it is to see, but those little blue asterisks represents the elite parental lines that we have selected as the founding population in this breeding network. And so we've designed it with connected multi-parent populations, 3- and 4-way crosses between hybrids and elite materials. And so we have good confidence that we have a lot of diversity to work with, and we will develop this improved population. So a global network is a really tricky thing to manage. So how does it work? The design of this network is based on a model that's come out of the CG system of global breeding programs. And so it's a globally distributed program where the recombination is centralized in a single location. And so for us, that means our research sites in El Salvador and Costa Rica, where we are physically doing the crosses. So we do all of that recombination ourselves. We ship the seed out to our partners in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And then each of those partners are receiving a set of seed that has come from those same set of crosses. And they plant this on sites in their own countries. All of the phenotyping and genotyping is standardized and coordinated. So everyone is doing everything in the same way, and it's coordinated with all the data flowing to us. We do the analysis, we do genomic selection, we'll do the recombination in the next round and send seeds out once again. So there's a lot of back and forth of both germplasm and data in the management of this network, but also information and sharing and decision-making, because this is a collaborative process. We involve our partners in the designs and the decision-making at every step of the way, from designing phenotyping protocols, making decisions on selections, and perhaps new germplasm that may be introduced in 2nd and 3rd rounds of crosses. So the design of this network brings up the concept of co-opetition, which is kind of a nice word that combines the ideas of collaboration and competition. You see, for individual countries, varieties are inherently competitive. And so the design of Innovea allows us to focus on that pre-competitive space of population improvement. So we're creating this diverse, improved, segregating population of material that essentially provides such a valuable resource to national breeding programs. And this is provided open source with full freedom to operate. Basically, the countries are able to use this material in whatever way they see fit. And so that's where the aspect of competition comes in. So individual breeding programs in countries are able to use this germplasm and target the finished varieties according to their needs, the needs of their farmers, their production environments, particular disease and pest pressures they may have, or market niches that they may be trying to target. So this is the timeline of Innovea, and really we just launched it last year. So we're in year 1, cycle 1 of this long-term breeding pipeline. So the bar on the top represents the population improvement part of the work, which is the direct work that Innovea is undertaking. And you can see there's a 6-year cycle. So we've just done crosses. We will distribute material to partners every 6 years. But in between, we're using genomic selection to shorten the cycle time. And then that downstream work of variety development, this is the work carried out by our national partners. And so this is where the variability comes in, because all partners operate using a different approach. They have different capacities, whether they're taking very traditional approaches or using more modern genomics tools in their approach. This is where the release of finished varieties will vary along that timeline. So the earliest we may expect to see a variety coming out in any one country could be perhaps 10 years from now. But as the breeding pipeline fills, we expect to see more and more material coming out into the future. So I'll just recap here by just highlighting that Innovea, this global network, really represents a new way of doing Arabica breeding compared to traditional Arabica programs, which typically operate within the confines of a single country. So this is a global distribution of effort across 10 countries. We're working with a large population, and the target is a diverse, continuously improving population of Arabica material. We have a wide diversity of parental lines, and we're phenotyping across a wide range of environments. Oops. So I just want to pause here to acknowledge this, because this big ambitious project has been many years in the making. It's involved nearly every person in our organization, and it's come together. We have a great breeding team who's the brains behind this work, and certainly our team will be growing in future as the level of effort in this increases. But I want to make particular mention of our partners. So the National Coffee Institutes that have signed on to this network are all eager to work with us and excited to join the network and embark on the work that we have ahead of us. And so, of course, we're very grateful, because we would not be able to do this without them. So just before I finish, this talk has been all about Arabica and this global breeding network. But as this ramps up, we're simultaneously starting to build something very similar in Robusta breeding. So we're here in Vietnam, not only to be at the ASIC meeting, but to talk to the Vietnamese researchers, many of you in the room, and our partners that we hope will be joining this network. So I hope at the next ASIC meeting in Portugal, I will get to stand on this stage and tell you all about Robusta breeding. Thank you.